My hand trembled as I slid the keycard into the lock. The green light blinked and the faint click of the door echoed like a blade through my chest. For a moment I froze, but then I pushed it open. The sight seared itself into me. Alina on the bed, her shoes tossed aside, her head resting against Evan's shoulder. Her laughter, the smile I once thought was mine, was his now. When her eyes met mine, the color drained from her face. "Luis," she whispered. Evan flinched, pulling his hand away as though burned, panic flashing across his features. For the first time in my life, my cousin, the man I trusted like a brother, looked powerless. I stepped inside, slamming the door behind me. My chest felt heavy, but my words came out sharp. "So this is the client meeting? This is the work emergency?" "My name is Luis, I'm 34 years old, and I live in Chicago. For years I thought I had built the kind of life that would carry me safely through anything. I had worked hard, saved carefully, and finally married the woman I believed was the love of my life. Her name was Alina, and at 31 she was vibrant, intelligent, and magnetic in ways that still made my chest ache when she walked into a room. We met in the kind of accidental moment that feels scripted in movies. I spilled my coffee all over her sketchbook in a cafe near the Loop. My panic and apologies tumbled out so clumsily that people at nearby tables looked over. But Alina just laughed and said, "Maybe you needed an excuse to talk to me." That single sentence disarmed me. It drew me in, and soon our lives wove together in ways I never expected. Our wedding, 2 years later, was simple, intimate, and perfect. She looked like everything I thought I didn't deserve. Standing next to me as best man was my cousin Evan. He wasn't just family. He was my closest friend. We had grown up side by side, survived schoolyard fights, teenage trouble, and celebrated milestones together. If there was one person I thought would never hurt me, it was Evan. Those early years of marriage were golden. Alina and I created rituals that felt sacred: Saturday brunch at the same small diner, Sunday movie nights, spontaneous drives up to Wisconsin when the city felt too loud. Even our arguments were soft around the edges, ending with apologies whispered under blankets. She felt like home. But home can crack without warning. At first, it was little things, nights when she worked late, excuses about big projects at her design studio. I encouraged her. I admired her ambition. But then she started hiding her phone. Calls came late and she'd slip into the other room to answer. Texts lit up her screen and she'd flip it over before I could see. I told myself not to pry. Trust was the foundation of marriage, wasn't it? Yet something gnawed at me. A faint scent of cologne on her coat one night. A restaurant bill tucked in her planner for a place we had never been together. When I asked, she smiled too easily. Team dinner, nothing special. Still, unease grew. Then came the hotel receipt. A Hyatt in downtown Chicago. She brushed it off instantly. We finished too late, it was unsafe to drive home. Her words were smooth, too smooth, as if rehearsed. I nodded, but inside my chest hollowed. Evan remained present in our lives. He came for dinner often, cracking jokes, helping me fix the backyard fence, bringing wine. He and Alina laughed together, their comfort obvious. I told myself it was harmless. They had known each other through me for years. Why should I suspect him? But suspicion doesn't fade once it takes root. One night, while helping carry groceries, her phone buzzed in my hand. The preview flashed. Tonight. She snatched it quickly, her eyes wide. "It's just a client," she said. But her voice trembled and my gut twisted. I began checking our shared credit card account. Strange entries leapt out: late-night Uber rides, expensive perfume, upscale dinners. In her car's glove compartment, I found men's sunglasses, the exact pair Evan had bought last summer. My stomach turned, but I forced myself to believe it was coincidence. Until the night she told me she had another meeting. She slipped into a black dress I'd only seen her wear on anniversaries, sprayed perfume that lingered heavy in the room, and checked her phone nervously. She kissed my cheek quickly and left. I waited 20 minutes, then followed. Her Uber dropped her at the Hyatt Regency, its lobby glowing against the cold night. She stepped out, hair shining, eyes scanning the entrance like she was waiting for someone. And then Evan appeared, confident, casual, walking toward her like it was the most natural thing in the world. She lit up when she saw him. He wrapped his arms around her, pulling her close. She tilted her head back and laughed, the same way she once laughed with me. I sat frozen in my car, watching, my heart tearing itself apart. Then, as they disappeared into the elevator, I forced myself to move. I followed, every step heavy, my breath sharp and shallow. The elevator doors closed on them. I caught the number as it lit up, 12. My hands shook as I pressed the button for the same floor. The ride up felt endless. The hallway was silent, lined with identical doors. But then I heard it. Her laughter, bright, familiar, poisoned now. It drifted from one door, mingled with Evan's voice. I pulled the keycard from my pocket. I had slipped it from her purse days earlier, suspicion driving me to places I never thought I'd go. My hand trembled, my mind screamed, but my body knew. Once I slid that card in, there was no going back. The key card slid in with a tremor from my hand. The green light blinked and the lock released with a sharp click. For a heartbeat, I thought about turning away, running down the hall, pretending none of this was real. But I pushed the door open and the truth hit me like a fist. Alina was on the bed, her heels abandoned on the carpet. Her head rested comfortably against Evan's shoulder, her laughter filling the room. She looked more alive in that moment than she had with me in months. And the man she leaned on wasn't her husband, it was my cousin. The sound of the door froze them both. Alina's eyes snapped to mine, wide with horror. The blood drained from her face and she stumbled to her feet. "Luis," she whispered, like my name itself might shatter her. Evan jerked upright, his hand flying away from hers as though burned, his face twisted, guilt and fear battling in his expression. He looked like a child caught red-handed, but this was no childish mistake. I stepped inside, slamming the door shut with a force that made the walls tremble. The sound echoed like judgment. My chest heaved, but my voice came out sharp, steady, colder than I ever imagined I could sound. "So this is it? This is your client meeting? This is your late-night emergency?" Alina stammered, tugging at her dress as if smoothing fabric could erase the truth. "Luis, it's not what it looks like." "Don't insult me," I snapped, cutting her off. "I saw you in the lobby. I saw you laugh with him. Don't you dare treat me like a fool." Tears welled in her eyes. "Please, it wasn't planned. I was lonely. You've been so busy, so distant. Lonely." The laugh that escaped me was hollow, bitter. "You could have talked to me. You could have told me you were hurting. Instead, you chose this, with him." I pointed at Evan, my finger trembling with rage. My cousin, my blood, the man who stood next to me on my wedding day. Evan raised his hands weakly. "Luis, I never wanted to hurt you." "Never wanted to hurt me?" I cut him off, venom in every syllable. "You sat at my table. You clapped me on the back like a brother. All the while, you were crawling into bed with my wife. Tell me, Evan, how exactly was this not meant to hurt me?" His mouth opened, but no words came. He dropped his gaze to the floor, shame plastered across his face. But shame wasn't enough. Not for this. Alina's tears spilled over, running black with her mascara. She stepped toward me, desperate. "I love you, Luis. I swear I do. This doesn't change that." I recoiled from her like her touch carried fire. "Don't you dare use that word. Love doesn't creep into hotel rooms. Love doesn't lie straight to my face. Whatever this is, it's not love." Her sobs filled the room, but my heart felt like stone. The pain inside me was so sharp it dulled everything else. I pulled my phone from my pocket. My hand was steady now, almost eerily calm. The camera clicked. I took photos. Her disheveled dress, Evan's shoes tossed by the bed, the untouched champagne on the nightstand. Evidence, proof, cold and undeniable. Alina's voice cracked. "Luis, stop! Please, don't do this. We can fix it. We can go to counseling. Start fresh." "There is no fixing this," I cut her off. My voice was like a blade. "You killed it. Every lie, every secret, every late night. You killed us." Evan finally spoke again, his tone strained, almost pleading. "We didn't mean for it to go this far." I glared at him, shaking my head slowly. "That excuse might work when you spill a drink or miss a deadline. Not when you rip apart a marriage. You don't stumble into betrayal. You plan it. You feed it. You chose it." He slumped forward, his elbows on his knees, burying his face in his hands. The man who once fought by my side as a kid now looked small, pathetic, broken. Alina's sobs grew louder. She dropped to her knees, her hands covering her face. Once that sound would have gutted me. I would have rushed to hold her, to protect her. Now it only twisted the knife deeper. I moved toward the door, my footsteps heavy on the carpet. My throat burned, my vision blurred with rage, but I knew I couldn't stay another second. Alina scrambled after me, her hand latching onto my arm. "Please, Luis, don't leave me like this. I can't lose you. I made a mistake, but we can get through it." I ripped my arm free, my voice a growl. "You already lost me the second you chose him. This wasn't a mistake. Mistakes don't last for weeks or months. Mistakes don't involve lies, hotel rooms, and secrecy. This was betrayal, over and over again." Her sobs broke into wails echoing through the room. Evan sat frozen, unable to look at either of us. I turned the handle and opened the door. For one final moment I looked back. The woman I had loved was collapsed on the floor. The cousin I had trusted like a brother sat hunched, pathetic. And me? I was leaving, but I was carrying scars I'd never asked for. "You made your choices," I said quietly, almost to myself. "Now live with them." The door slammed behind me, the sound reverberating down the hallway. The elevator ride felt endless. I stared at my reflection in the polished doors, barely recognizing the man staring back. His eyes were hollow, his jaw tight, his shoulders heavy with betrayal. Outside, the city was alive, cars rushing by, lights glowing, people laughing. But my world had stopped. My phone buzzed non-stop in my pocket. Alina's name lit the screen again and again. I ignored it. I didn't need her words anymore. I had seen enough. Driving home through the empty streets, memories hit me like waves. Alina decorating the Christmas tree, Evan grilling at family barbecues, the three of us laughing together like nothing could ever break us. Lies, every one of them now poisoned. When I finally pulled into the driveway, I couldn't move. I sat in the car, gripping the wheel, staring at the house we had built together. It no longer looked like home. It looked like a shell of the life I thought I had. Eventually, I forced myself inside. The silence was deafening. I dropped into a chair at the kitchen table, pulled out my phone, and scrolled through the photos again. Each one cut deeper, but I made myself look. Proof mattered. Proof meant I wasn't crazy. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't eat. I sat there until the sun rose, the photos burning into my eyes. And in that morning light, one thought blazed brighter than the rest. This wasn't over. They thought their secret could stay hidden. But I was going to make sure the world knew exactly who they really were. The morning after that night in the hotel, I sat at the kitchen table with the curtains drawn. The photos glowed on my phone screen, each one like a knife twisting deeper. My coffee had gone cold hours ago. The house was silent, but inside me everything screamed. Alina's name filled my call log. She had left dozens of voicemails, her voice cracking between sobs and frantic pleas. "Luis, please don't shut me out. I made a mistake. I can fix this. You're my everything." I deleted them without listening to the end. She had already destroyed everything. For 2 days, I drifted like a ghost. I went to work, sat through meetings, typed emails, even laughed at a colleague's joke. But each time I blinked, I saw her head resting on Evan's shoulder. I heard her laugh, a laugh that used to belong to me. On the third evening, I couldn't keep it inside anymore. I drove to my parents' house, the phone heavy in my pocket. My mother took one look at me and knew something was wrong. "Luis, mijo, what is it?" My throat tightened. I couldn't speak. I just handed her the phone. She scrolled through the photos, and her hand flew to her mouth. Tears filled her eyes. My father leaned in, his jaw clenching as he saw Evan in the frame. "Evan?" he muttered, his voice shaking. "My nephew? The boy I raised like a son?" The betrayal spread like fire through the family. My father called Evan's parents that night. At first, my uncle refused to believe it. Evan would never. But then the photos were sent, and silence followed. By morning, the family group chat was a storm. Some cursed Evan, others attacked Alina. A few tried to defend them, but their voices were drowned by outrage. Cousins messaged me privately. "We're with you, Luis." One even admitted she had noticed strange closeness between them, but never thought it was real. Evan stayed silent. No apology, no explanation, just silence. But I wasn't done. Alina had built her career on an image of professionalism, late nights for clients, dedication to her company. I drafted an email, attached the hotel bill and photos, and sent it to her manager. "You should know how your employee spends her work hours." It was cold, factual. Within 48 hours, she was suspended. That evening, she came to the house. She pounded on the door until my knuckles ached from resisting the urge to open it. When I finally cracked it, her face was streaked with tears, her voice hoarse. "Luis, please, you're destroying my life." "No," I said flatly. "You destroyed it yourself. I'm just showing people the truth." Her expression twisted, part fury, part desperation. "I still love you," she said. I laughed bitterly. "Don't ever say that word to me again. Love doesn't look like what I saw in that hotel room." She sobbed, but I shut the door in her face. Days later, Evan tried. He caught me outside my gym, shifting nervously. "Luis, man, we need to talk." His voice was low, almost begging. "You've turned everyone against me." "I didn't turn them," I said coldly. "You did that yourself." "I didn't mean for it to go this far," he muttered. "That line," I snapped, "is for spilled drinks and missed deadlines, not for betraying your own blood." I walked away, leaving him slumped on the sidewalk. The divorce proceedings moved fast. My lawyer said the evidence was undeniable. Alina tried to bargain, tried to convince me to keep things quiet for the family's sake. "Let's not ruin reputations," she whispered once across the lawyer's table. I looked her in the eye. "You already ruined everything. Silence only helps you. I won't protect you anymore." She broke down again, but I didn't bend. As weeks turned to months, the dust began to settle. Alina's career collapsed under suspension and whispers. Evan became the family's disgrace, his name spoken in hushed, angry tones at gatherings. Some relatives cut him off completely. But me? I was left with the wreckage. Nights were hardest. I'd lie awake in the house we once filled with laughter, haunted by memories that now felt poisonous. Her perfume lingered in the closet, his jokes echoed in the backyard where we'd grilled together. Ghosts lived everywhere. Still, support trickled in. Friends invited me out. My younger cousin texted, "You did the right thing. You saved yourself." My mother hugged me tighter than ever. These small gestures didn't erase the pain, but they reminded me I wasn't as alone as I felt. One evening, I walked into the same coffee shop where I had first met Alina. The scent of roasted beans, the hum of conversation, the hiss of steaming milk. It was all the same. But something inside me had shifted. The place no longer carried her shadow. It was just a cafe. I sat by the window, sipping my drink, watching the city outside. For the first time in months, I felt a strange, fragile peace. Healing wasn't complete, but it had begun. I learned something in that season of betrayal. Lies rot everything they touch. You can bury them for a while, but eventually they surface, poisoning everything in their path. And once trust is broken, it never returns in the same shape. So now, when people ask me what betrayal taught me, I tell them this. Trust, once broken, doesn't heal the same way. If someone lies once, they might do it again, and ignoring red flags only makes them brighter until you can't avoid them.